Just minutes into the new year, January 2026, a celebration inside a crowded bar called La Constellation, a popular bar lounge in the village of Crans, Montana, a ski resort in the Swiss Alps known for nightlife and winter tourism, turned into one of Switzerland's deadliest fires in decades. But what causes a flashover fire? What were the conditions in this club that made this flashover fire happen? And how did these people just die so quickly like this?
It's very terrifying. It's shocking,
And so she was holding the champagne way too high, and so it went on the ceiling.
So this is La Constellation bar in better times, and you can see it's a beautiful bar. But what was really happening in there that caused this flashover fire? So we're going to see the unnerving parts that are coming up here in a second. So this is an advertisement that they had on YouTube. And so what they have is these girls that walk around. You see these bottle service barmaids here that walk around, these waitresses. And they've got these bottles that are flaming. They're shooting sparklers up, and they walk by, they hold them up high, and they're waving them, I think, just dangerously close and low-hanging ceiling there. And then it's just inches away from all of this acoustic foam, and probably nobody knows that this stuff is just unbelievable flammable. And so that's the danger. People coming here to these fancy bars expecting a good time, and they don't expect to die. So you can see everybody's having a good time, but look, they're holding the bottles of champagne with the sparklers on it up too high, really close, just inches away from that foam, that acoustic foam. And so now it's catching on fire at the very beginning here, and everybody's dancing. And of course, this guy's trying to put the fire out, and that's fine. But everybody's still singing and dancing right now when this is the very second that they should be escaping. Look how the gases are spreading across the ceiling right now, and how fast they are spreading across the ceiling. And as they spread across the ceiling, the temperature is greatly increasing very rapidly to the point that the entire room could ignite at once because of the heat radiation. And then here now is that infamous picture that was going around showing what looks to be the very origin of the fire, the very starting point. So you can see everybody's holding up their bottles and the sparklers now. It could just be that the sparklers from some people's bottles, like in this area here, could have just floated up to the ceiling and lit it on fire. However, we did have that one female witness that was in there that said that it looked like it was the servers that started it.
So there was a server that was on the shoulders of another one, and so she was holding the champagne way too high, and so it went on the ceiling.
And so, folks, we all know what happened after that. Here you can see how fast it's spreading in the bar down below, and luckily these guys had the good sense to run up those stairs immediately and get out the door. So here they are going up the steps. Now take a look at this next scene, and then I will explain to you what's going on.
Oh la dinguerie! En gros, bouge, bouge, bouge.
So this is right at the rear entrance, and you can see the fire is already consuming the room, and so the heat must be unbearable to them. And some of these people are probably going to be likely on fire any second, but they can't get out those windows. They're either locked or not sliding for them or what. So now you're going to see them go to the left here a little bit, and they're going to try to force themselves outside that door. But you can see that they're piling up, and they're causing a log jam right there as they try to get out and get down those steps. But you can see everybody's just piled up in there. And probably if these people ever made it out, they were going to be the last ones out of there alive. And luckily for this lady here, a passerby found a way to get one of these windows open, and watch this lady come flying out of there, hopping over the fence. She was probably one of the last people out of there alive.
I can't believe that all this happened. It's very terrifying. It's shocking.
Now this right here, folks, is textbook exactly what happened at the Station nightclub fire in Warwick, Rhode Island back in 2003. In 2003, the Station nightclub fire in Rhode Island killed 100 people in just over 1 minute. The cause was indoor pyrotechnics igniting flammable acoustic foam, just like here in the Constellation bar in Switzerland. But here's where I'm talking at the Station nightclub fire back there in Rhode Island, how it looks exactly like what happened. See, these people here are jammed at the door. It looks like it's the exact same fire, but it's not. It's here at this, you can see, at the station. And those people on the front line are probably the only ones that would have survived if these guys that are jumping over the rail to try to save them, if they could unpack them. They were pinned in like sardines. And unless they could have yanked some of these people free, even the people right at the doorway likely died, because look how much smoke is now pouring out of the building there at the Station Nightclub fire. So you can see why 100 people died so quickly. They all died in 90 seconds. So the Station Nightclub taught us what happens when flame meets a low ceiling and flammable materials at the same time. How an entire room that was okay 5 seconds ago can be completely unsurvivable in 90 seconds. And that scene where the people were trying to get out of the exit there at the Constellation bar, what I would have done is I would have taken a table or a chair and just throw it right through that glass and break the window and get out there. You see, the problem with the psychology of most of us humans in fires is we tend to gravitate towards the same method that we use to get into the building as the exit that we go right back out, even though safety is just right over here. But this is what happens during a panic. Now, this is a very damning photo that I saw going around on the internet, and this appears to be employees of the Constellation bar installing this acoustic foam, which we now know turned out to be very flammable. So investigators are going to be looking into this as to who bought the material and did they know it was combustible. As we know, the same exact thing happened here at the Station Nightclub, where back in the year 2000, the owners bought like $575 worth of packing foam, and a similar amount of flame retardant foam would have cost about $1,200. So they were trying to save a few $100s. So here's some aftermath photos, and it's amazing how this section here on the upper floor doesn't really look all that damaged. But yeah, you can see here that they started to put a fence up, and then they started to put tenting material around and everything. So you couldn't even see inside, because I think there's still some missing people left inside there. Now, the BBC posted this rendition here of what it looks like in the bar. And as you can see, you have all of the furniture around here, the bar in the middle, and then the steps that lead up to the ground level. So remember, this is a basement bar. And so it is believed that many of the bodies were probably piled up here in the log jam rush to get up the stairs by panicked people who finally realized, ooh, hey, maybe we should get out of here. And so there's the exit right up there. And then we, of course, saw many people up here in this lobby trying to get out or trying to get through these glass windows. So because of this staircase and the basement bar here and the architecture of this building, this reminds me of another huge fire that we had in my hometown, Boston, back in 1942, the Coconut Grove fire that killed 500 people. And my grandfather actually covered that fire as a photographer for the newspaper at the time. As you can see, the Melody Bar downstairs in the basement of the Coconut Grove nightclub had a fire that started over here in the corner, and it worked its way across the flammable ceiling tiles. And then this is a staircase, and so it pretty much trapped and killed most of the people downstairs. And then the fire shot up this staircase here and worked its way across the club, killing 500 people in an already overpacked club. And by the way, in the not too distant future, I hope to have a video out on that Coconut Grove fire for you. Okay, so we know that this was a flashover fire, but what causes a flashover fire? What were the conditions in this club that made this flashover fire happen? And how did these people just die so quickly like this? So take a look at a couple of videos that I'm going to show you, controlled examples of these types of flashover fires. Those of you who follow my channel, you know that I've done a number of videos on the Champlain Towers condo collapse down in Miami. And as you know, NIST is in charge of that investigation because they have experts in engineering and construction and fire science especially. So take a look at this video that they did. Okay, so as NIST is showing us in this video, as the fire gets up along the ceiling, and if there's something up there that will burn and combust at a higher temperature, you can see temperatures of around 1100 degrees. And that's the temperature that a lot of items like to start burning at. And just from the radiant heat alone, it can cause the pyrolyzing. Look at the couch. See how it's already peeling and changing shape, and the white smoke is coming up from the gases, and all of it starts to blend together. And now the temperature, that high temperature, gets closer to the rug. Now watch the rug. You're going to see it start to pyrolyze the gas. The white gas clouds are already coming up off of the rugs. The rug's on fire right now, sort of. And now look, all of a sudden, all of it at once is going to go boom, just like that. So you can see how in just a matter of a few seconds, this entire room was up in flames. Here's a real-world house fire where you're about to see a flashover fire shoot out that attic window. So the heat in there is getting so high from the fire that's collecting up at the apex of that roof inside that you're going to see everything ignite at once right there. See how it just, boom, it went from nothing to completely engulfed in 1 or 2 seconds. And even if you were a fireman inside, you would have been dead. Okay, now the Fire Safety Research Institute has put out this here. So let's see what happens when they start. See, here's the small flame. They started at the same spot on both couches. Now watch what happens. The synthetic part here on the right side is going to burn a lot quicker and get to the flashover point where you'll see this is how houses get these massively fast fires that spread really quickly. It's because of the materials that they're using. And especially with older houses. But watch what happens now. You can see, you're going to see this cloud of smoke develop along the top here on the synthetic side. And the cloud is going to be lowering from the ceiling. But you can see all of the white from the gas that's, you know, the fumes and the gaseous mix from the fire. Now watch as the cloud sinks. Look how quickly it inundates this room. Now look at the left side of the couch here on the synthetic side. You're going to see it just sort of spontaneously start melting over here. There's your white gases going up. But watch right here where the cursor is. You're going to see it. See how it's starting to already burn? Even though it's not on fire, but it's already melting. It's hitting that point. And look at the carpet. See what the carpet's doing over here? See that? And it's on, boom, instantly. The whole room is now on fire. But yet, look at the natural side over here on the left. Reasonably clean, and you still have a reasonable amount of time to get out of there. And at the end of the day, this is going to be something like 29 minutes before the natural side here had a fit and said, okay, that's it. I'm going to burn all the way down. So this is all from the Firefighter Safety Research Institute. Yeah, so you can see there, the natural furnishings room lasted 29 minutes and 30 seconds, whereas the synthetic only lasted 3.5 minutes. So what we were seeing here in Switzerland is not a freak accident, folks. Not by any stretch of the imagination. This is fire behavior, fire doing what it's been doing for hundreds of years to human beings. And so that's the problem, is we don't learn the mistakes of the past and understand that if you're going to be a nightclub owner, you'd better understand how to prevent fires in your nightclub. And a flashover fire doesn't care about what country you're in, what type of building you're in. I've seen it happen in houses and in townhouses. And anybody who's a fireman out there will probably tell you the exact same thing. And so when a flashover fire happens like this, time isn't measured in minutes. It's seconds. And anybody that delays even 1 or 2 seconds greatly increases their probability of not even making it out of there alive. Because as we saw here, the problem wasn't the people's inability to escape the fire. The problem was that the fire was faster than they were. The fire was faster than people's ability to think and look at it and go, that's a danger. I need to get out of here right now. So that's the grave, fatal mistake that a lot of people made. And likely here, these folks too. You saw these people were dancing while the stupid fire is going on over their head. And they should have been running out of that room and up those stairs, because this is what happens when you're a young mind and you're invincible and you don't think that death is like seconds away. But those stairs act as a chimney for these fires as well. So our big takeaway here, folks, is if you're ever anywhere and you see a fire, especially on the ceiling, but really anywhere, but if you see it on the ceiling, get out of there now. Don't even talk about it. Just leave now. And if you're told to shelter in place, get out of the building anyway. Because many times in the past, people have been told to shelter in place and they end up dying in a fire anyhow. People show up at these places and they don't know if they were built to code or not, or if it's going to burn down or not in a fire. And so they have these expectations versus reality. You hear about a great party going on at a ski resort and you're expecting to see this right here. But in the end, what you really see is this. So anytime you enter a building, just assume that it's going to catch fire. That's the safest bet, I think. And that way you can be aware of where all of the exits are. Where are you going to go if there's a fire? And don't forget, you can throw something through a window to break that window to get out of there too. Save your own life. So thank you for joining us on this one, folks, and we will see all of you on the next one.